chief here for the municipality as well. So I'd like to start off with my update with this overwhelming sense of gratitude. So to our residents, first and foremost, for taking the evacuation order with all due regard and evacuating themselves, their neighbors, everybody just banded together in such an orderly fashion. It was truly amazing, and it really lessened the impact on the emergency services that were trying to make sure that all of that was happening on the back end. Secondly, gratitude to our other industry providers that came out of the woodwork in order to try and make sure that we succeeded in all of our operational goals yesterday. So that included our local search and rescue complements, North Peace Search and Rescue, South Peace Search and Rescue, the Canadian Rangering Complement here in Tumbler Ridge, as well as the RCMP, and then all of our mutual aid partners with emergency services from Dawson Creek and Chetwynd that sent us resources at the mere just drop of a phone call. It really, really meant a lot to us here on the ground in order to try and make our lives just a little bit easier in an obvious chaotic situation. So back to the evacuations. So currently, Tumbler Ridge has been evacuated about 90% in terms of population, which means that we probably have about 150 individuals that have chosen to stay for one reason or another. That could be their EOC staff, or they're going to be residents that have refused to leave. At this time, our message to those individuals that have chosen to stay and they're not part of the EOC is that our sense right now is to public safety, and really the best way that you can help us help the public and the responders, everybody that are in town here, is to evacuate yourself, right? We understand that that's not an easy decision for everybody to make, but we really want to stress the importance of having everybody leave so that we can make sure that we're focusing our efforts in the right places. To those residents of Tumbler Ridge that have evacuated and they're in either reception centers, wherever in the Peace region, we really want to hit home the importance of registering at one of these reception centers. It just helps us keep track of people, making sure we're not losing people, that we know that people are safe. And if there's anything else that we can do for the EOC side here, we will certainly reach out and try to make that happen. I think I'll end my update with we understand that it is incredibly frustrating at times with the lack of information that's coming out. We feel those frustrations. We're getting those phone calls. We really want to make sure that the public knows that the best way to get up-to-date information from the District of Tumbler Ridge and our EOC is through our websites, the District of Tumbler Ridge website, as well as our social media Facebook page. We have an excellent team of communication folks that are tirelessly trying to give information in a timely manner. I know it doesn't come as often or as soon as even most of us would like, but that's just really the best way in order to try and keep yourselves up to date. So I think I'll end on that, and happy to take questions. So I'm not specific on what charges or any type of law that they're breaking. All I can say is at this time, anybody that has chosen to stay back has had conversations with our local RCMP. We still have a significant amount of RCMP presence in the town. And they've been acutely aware to the fact that at this point, there is no service for a BC ambulance in town other than for responders. We don't have a local contingent anymore. They've all evacuated with the rest of the town, as well as if we get into a situation where there's going to be a mass or a need to evacuate in a very short notice, we're not going to have the resources available to make sure that they get out. So that's going to be on their own risk to do so. Structure. So on this ridge line, we do have our main water reservoir that feeds our community. So we're going to be prioritizing that, as well as the homes that are closely knit together and likely going to be in the first path of the fire if it does breach over top of the ridge and make its way to Tumbler Ridge. So yeah, we did receive an inquiry on this a little earlier today. We're not sure where the breakdown was. From our understanding, when the order was produced at 2:07 yesterday, there was a bit of a delay after going through the intrusive alert system and put on emergency info BC. We did have a bit of a delay in transcribing some of the documents. The District of Tumbler Ridge is a relatively new website, and they didn't quite correlate in a legible font so that you could actually easily see them on our website. So that was a bit of a breakdown in that. I don't think it was quite an hour, but I'm not exactly sure to the whole time frame that it was.
What we've seen so far for both the Peavine Creek and the West Kiskatna fires is that where the fires have crossed the highway, those have compromised power lines. So we have power poles that are down. Hydro is going to go in when it's safe, but we can't guarantee that's going to happen anytime soon. So for folks that have stayed, if it does come down to an imminent need to leave ASAP situation, those highways might not be available. We won't put our folks in line of fire or in imminent danger to rescue those that have chosen to stay behind. So I think the key message there is wildfire can compromise so much infrastructure that we are really reliant on, whether that be cell phone service, power, and then just direct access in and out of communities. As soon as those highways are cut off, that's can be catastrophic. So I would say the message to those folks that have chosen to stay behind is that if it does become imminent and they choose to leave, it can come down to it being too late to be able to escape safely. Wildfire, we want to do our best to save or to help the people that we can, but it's not always an option. So I think, as Dustin said, same goes with the ambulance. There are those folks to help, but I think from a fire perspective, just highlighting how much damage those fires can do, especially under the conditions that we're seeing. Yeah, so the fire is currently about 4 to 5 kilometers from Tumbler Ridge. The ignition point was about 21 kilometers from Tumbler Ridge. So since Tuesday afternoon, we've seen it move about 15 kilometers. And from my understanding, about 8 or 9 of those were yesterday.